great. Oh! What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is part 6 of the Ranger off. If you guys stick around for a little bit, we'll show you how we 5.3 liter LS swapped our Ford Ranger. How you doing? All right, so first things first, considering this was a budget build, we used the factory springs, cut them, reinstalled them to lower the truck a little bit, and also cut the radiator support out so we didn't have any issues moving the motor or transmission in and out of the vehicle for fitment. So with the motor mounts, they were some universal LS motor mounts from Amazon, and they didn't, the motor sat too low on the subframe, so we had to basically fabricate some custom stuff to make the motor fit in there how we wanted it to, so it cleared everything. With these mounts the way that they are, we can't achieve the height of the motor that we want and that we also need, so the oil pan isn't sitting directly on the subframe. So basically here's how they're gonna sit. But so the motor's basically sitting on the subframe right now on the oil pan, and we obviously don't want that. We want some space between there. So what we're gonna do to achieve that is we have some 2x4 channel over here, which is just about the perfect width for these mounts. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut this according to size. We're gonna put a few tacks onto it on both sides of the motor, and then we're gonna set it in there and see if we have the height that we want to achieve and if we have the space between the subframe and the oil pan. So that's what we're doing now. How great are we doing, you think?
We're doing pretty great.
I don't know, that steering shaft is kind of cocked.
Yeah, so one problem we're seeing is this steering shaft is probably going to be an issue with whatever exhaust we decide to go with. Right now we just got this mount bolted on each side and connected, so when we lower the motor we can kind of figure out where it's going to be. These slide back and forth, and then this will swivel up like that. We can mark the holes.
The motor and transmission in there, basically the motor sat down too low on the subframe in the truck with just the motor mounts. So we did take a piece of 2x4 square channel, cut it in half, and welded that onto the motor mount, and then welded that to the actual cross member of the subframe. So before we put the motor in the truck, we wanted to do a compression test to see what we were working with. And basically 7 of the 8 cylinders all had great compression. They were up in like the 175 range, which is perfect. But we did have 25 pounds on one cylinder. So basically, being that one cylinder did have low compression, we were kind of at a point where, being that this is a budget build on a time crunch, we just mocked the motor up, got everything hooked up, got all the wiring taken care of, and we decided we're just going to deal with it when we get to that point.
So how many days has it been on this whole LS swap?
I don't know, but as you guys can see, we're definitely doing great. So basically,
well, mine's over there running.
Yeah,
could probably drive by.
You're working on AC right now.
Yeah,
so
I'm thinking about going to the junkyard and picking out AC lines and stuff.
You should. I'm not worried.
So you guys got it welded in, pulled the cab so you have access to the tranny cross member.
Just the fuel lines, the tranny cross member. It's just easier to work from above than especially with the way we have this truck facing backwards in the way the lift's set up. So like trying to get it up in the air without having more room to push the vehicle back. As you can see, there's a bunch of crap back there.
And you got some drive shafts. What's going on with the shaft?
We have an issue with the drive shaft. So basically, we went to the drive shaft shop this morning.
So you're about an inch short.
About two.
Oh, yeah. I mean, an inch. That's about average, but when you 2 inch short, that's actually
I get
pretty
that
bad.
at home all the time too. But anyways, so we took this to the drive shaft shop, and apparently they don't do aluminum, and like everything in the world now has an aluminum drive shaft. So I don't know what's really going on. They're probably doing great on business, but so we found this one of Chevy's custom drive shafts laying around the shop for the last 10 years probably. We're gonna take this down there, and they can extend that, lengthen it for us. So we're gonna take that down there with this one, with the measurement we need, with that yoke and this U-joint and this flange, whatever, and then they're gonna make us a drive shaft.
If you were doing a Ranger though, there is a much easier way if you have a shop that can do aluminum. and that's all you need is a kind of an adapter U-joint that goes
spacer
from,
little thing.
Yeah,
well, it goes from
1310
1310
to 1330.
to 1330, which is BC, which is big cap that Ford uses. And then so you could just swap that.
How come you guys don't just get one of those?
Well, that was our plan.
We have one actually,
but we
out of
still
Riley's,
need it extended.
but it's still 2 inches short.
So
all that is a U-joint with 2 different size bearings.
Yeah.
Because we're using a different yoke on a different drive shaft, so there's 2 different size bearing holes. So you can do that, you know, and we could probably get away with that drive shaft in here, but it would be sloppy as hell because we only have like maybe 2 inches.
And you're pretty much maxed out on the firewall.
Yeah,
so
we
can't go further back.
Well, we're up against the firewall, and which I had no issue cutting out if we need to. But if, as you can see here, we have this mount fully extended back so they're adjustable.
And you welded this thing in there like it was never.
It's never coming up. Well, the motor, obviously, you know, there's a bushing, so the motor comes up. But yeah, that mount's never coming up. So if it does, I'll be
now
impressed.
you guys have the stock wiring out of probably a Silverado or something, and
So
this.
we're gonna fire this thing up.
So you guys are gonna fire it up, but that leads us to the other issue that you don't have no compression.
Well, there's 25 pounds of compression on this cylinder.
So you got scammed.
Well, not necessarily. So
Sean got on Facebook Marketplace. He drove 10 hours round trip to buy a good engine, $1,300 engine tranny, all that, and you got scammed.
So it does have a leak in the exhaust valve. I put air in the cylinder at top dead center, and air is coming out of the exhaust zone. So hopefully there's just some poo on the valves maybe. We're gonna see. So I called the guy that we bought the motor from. He got right back to me. He's like, you know, hey, you know, I heard the motor run. It was good run motor. Basically, if there is an issue with it and you need something, I'll bring you ahead. I'll send you ahead. I'll meet you halfway with the head or whatever you need. So
he was gonna help you out.
He's willing to if there is an issue. So that's cool. Most of the time you just get the good old block or the ignore. But
so this harness, LS is pretty easy to wire. So you got a wiring diagram over here.
It's easy to find things. So like this is from LT1 Swap, which is great. They label everything. It's all color coded. Like blue is everything that you need. Yellow is everything you can get rid of. And then just some stuff's for like if you have an automatic transmission, which we do. And then this is just the center part of
the fuse and relay box.
Fuse block that comes out of the trucks. And that's really all you need is the center. And then we're just gonna go through.
Do you guys have the center? Or you need to go get one.
Yeah. Nope, no, that's it.
So like all these pink wires, some I think are coils and some I think are
some are for injectors.
Injectors. So you can group them together, kind of like we did on the 3UZ for the 240. You just group them, and actually the 3UZ harness was factory grouped together within the loom. So instead of using a different pin for each one of these, we can group them together. If we're able to use the factory fuse box somehow, where we just literally plug this in, we can leave it whole, we can chop it up. I have to look at and see how it's all assembled. But we might be able to just use the factory relay and fuse box and then have everything as it was.
You guys are really far, but you're kind of close, but you're still really far.
A lot of dumb stuff, a lot of little dumb stuff, like the drive shaft situation. We're about to go back to the drive shaft shop today again for the second time and take them this one so they can make us one hopefully by tomorrow afternoon. Just little stuff like that, you know what I mean? I would like to do on the rear end, on the Explorer end, so they had these not trailing arms or, you know, whatever.
They had like a bracket that went from up here to right there.
Whatever you want to call them. And obviously that was there for a reason. And on top of that, we're throwing, you know, more than twice the horsepower at this thing that it made from the factory.
Hopefully 3 times.
Hopefully 3 times, yeah. So being that that's the case, I would like to go back to the junkyard, get these arms, and then make a mount for them so that way we don't have, the rear end doesn't have a chance to rock back and forth.
One cool thing is though,
well, I think you guys are doing great.
This cross member here, all we had to do was slot it, and I think we just are going to use a spacer.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have to make our own.
Yeah, that's the factory
bar.
So this thing's well, the oil pan looks like it was almost meant to be in there, but obviously the mounts and everything else around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had, as you can see, like the mount, we had to take a piece of channel, 2x4 channel, cut that in half. So we had the height we needed to get the motor to sit where we needed. Like if you look here, it's damn close. You know, this is what it's touching, but it's, you know, it's not on it. It's free.
And then the truck pan and everything.
So the truck pan being a little bit deeper, it was kind of hard with it in the car to get it past the lip. Yeah. But once you were past it, it dropped down.
And that's why you guys cut out the radiator support.
Just to, you know, we can leave it out or put it. We don't care. It just has to look like a Ranger. That's all it has to be.
Well, you guys got a lot of work ahead of you. Me and Blake are gonna go to the junkyard. Blake, you ready to go pick out an AC line? I think we need like a 10 mil and a 13 mil. Should be able to grab that. Maybe a crescent wrench. I think we'll have to grab a couple cans of R134, and we'll have some AC ripping in this thing. Probably by the end of the week.
Then you guys get to do all your suspension work.
Hey, what is the #1 rule of this whole challenge?
There is no rules. Huh? We can change it whenever we want. So after the motor and transmission were installed, we basically had everything hooked up, and we basically deleted everything out of the harness that we didn't need, unloomed it, got rid of all the grounds, all the power for sensors we weren't going to use, and started to clean up the wiring to where it would literally just run on a few wires. So once we had the harness all plugged in and de-loomed, and basically we had all the power wires for the coils and the injectors and everything that we needed, we hooked it up to a battery on the floor, gave the fuel pump some power. We wanted to see if it's fired up and how it sounded before we put the truck back together.
Oh, oh yeah. Hey, that thing sounds great. Oh! What, fire? No, it was gonna get me. Oh, Jesus. There's definitely fire coming out of the headers when she's ripping though. It sounds like a Honda. Whoa. Shot some sparks out of the. Shot some sparks.
Out of what?
It's probably some of that dirt that it was eating.
The Edie dirt, sparks.
It's got a freaking hole in the side of the intake manifold, doesn't it? Yeah.
They've got their engine all wired up, kind of in a temporary sort, just to.
It's doing great.
You can see all the pink wires are going to this single wire that's going to that 20 amp fuse, and that's it. And that's going to some jumper cables. It's going to a battery. You got the starter hooked up. That's kind of in line with that other thing. They went ahead and got a freeze plug to put in right here. In the intake manifold, there's a big EGR port. They were spraying it with some starting fluid, and it was starting on the starting fluid, but there was no fuel. So what did you guys end up just doing? You guys just came back?
Bypassed the filter right there.
So you guys just got a
return filter.
So you got some actual fuel line.
Yeah.
So now when you turn that on, fuel actually comes from the return.
Oh, look, it's leaking.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Make sure to not.
It's probably not fuel hose, so I probably ate through it.
Uh-oh. That or this? This should be okay for a little bit. I would just use a different clamp. But now we're getting ready for the first probably real start on actual.
I gotta fix this.
And so Chris he has a GM like 2500, so he put that ECU in there a little bit ago and took off the VATs and everything with the HP tuners.
Just some of the codes like EGR and that kind of stuff.
So it shouldn't have any check engine lights when it starts.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then they got the headers all flipped around. I guess these headers are pretty much right in the way of the steering shaft.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out.
It's gonna have to do some crazy stuff, but for now it'll start. Hopefully. After you fix that leak. Equipped with a fire extinguisher.
Yep. We got some sketchy
and this
stuff.
thing is. Yeah. I'm gonna stand actually.
I'm on the fuel side. You might.
I don't know if I want to be back here, because that header is just pointing right over here.
Crank that fuel pump, soldier boy.
All right.
All right, fuel pump is on.
Oh, I hear it.
She rips.
Yeah, sounds good.
Tell her to give us another moan.
Oh yeah, bring them over. We'll hammer into us.
Tell her to give us a moan.
Dirty chicken. Oh, babe, can you give us another moan?
Huh?
So she doesn't know about it.
Oh, she doesn't know yet?
So in the video,
She just gave us a.
in the video that Trevor uploaded,
Tell her to give us a moan.
me and Chris were in the truck, and we were like, it's 12:58 and we have no water and it was hot. You like laughed, but Chris was recording and it sounded like you moaned. So there was like comments in the YouTube video about like, did somebody hear that moan in the background? But it was you laughing. Can you give us another moan, babe? Just a little one. We're doing one of those things where like you're dying out in the wilderness and you're recording yourself. It's 12:53 on the 23rd day of whatever the.
Well, we'll be back in 10 minutes after Sean's phone call.
I'm not, but we'll have. So after we did get it running in the chassis of the truck, we wanted to do another compression test on that bad cylinder number 7, I believe, to see if it's changed at all. And it actually did increase a little bit. It's still only at like 50 or 60 pounds, but my assumption is there's either something with the lifter or something with the valve seat that is not allowing it to close all the way. So it might clean itself up after we run it for a while. So we're gonna see what happens with that. So now that we have the motor and transmission all mocked up, the issue comes in play with having a drive shaft. So the drive shaft that we had in the Ford Ranger was an aluminum drive shaft, I think a 4-inch diameter drive shaft, about 2 inches too short. So we went to our drive shaft shop here in town, unfortunately they don't do aluminum. So basically we tried to source other drive shaft shops, couldn't find anyone who had the material or could do it in a timely manner, so we had to have a whole entire new drive shaft made, which was not cheap. Literally, we just got shafted. So as you can see, here's the factory aluminum drive shaft out of the Ranger. It was literally 2 inches too short. So this drive shaft shop here in town, they're not able to do aluminum. So we kind of looked around, called other places, and basically other places are able to do aluminum, but they didn't have the access to the material we needed right now by the time we needed it by. So we literally had to pay to have a whole new drive shaft made for us with the right flange, the right yoke. That way we had the right length and everything that we needed. And it was, we just walked out the door. It was 350 bucks. So we just got shafted. Hope you guys are enjoying watching this build off between Trevor and I. I know you guys can't see it with Trevor standing behind this camera, but he is pulling his hair out day and night.
That's actually not the case, but I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. If you guys are, be sure to give them a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are not already subscribed. We have a giveaway planned, launching our next giveaway on September 3rd, so stay tuned to that. All the VIPs get double entries for that thing. So if you're not a VIP, be sure to subscribe to that. Yeah, next video is gonna be me messing with my Ranger, which found out some things and some stuff. I don't know if it's as bad as your compression issue, but there's some issues with my engine too. So we're gonna see how far we get in the next video. But appreciate you guys watching. See you later.